Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle three tiny little words that can cause some pretty big headaches in English: have, has, and had. But you know what? Don't worry about it. By the end of this quick guide, you're going to feel a whole lot more confident about using them. So, let's just dive right in. Have you ever been in the middle of a sentence and just stopped, wondering, wait, is it have or has? Or maybe you've heard something like, she have a car, and it just sounded a little off. Well, you're not alone. This is such a common trip up, but I promise, the rules behind it are actually way simpler than you might think. All right, so let's start with the absolute basics. We're going to look at how to use these words for things happening right now, in the present, and for things that are already done in the past. Seriously, if you can get this part down, you are well on your way to mastering the whole thing. Okay, so first up, let's talk about right now. We're dealing with what's called the present simple tense, which is really just a fancy term for talking about stuff that's a fact, a habit you have, or something you own. This is where have and has really shine. Okay, this slide right here, this is the most important rule for the present tense. Just look at how neatly it's divided. If you're talking about I, you, we, or they, you're always going to use have. But if you're talking about a single other person or thing, he, she, or it, you switch to has. That's it. That's the main rule you need to remember. Let's see this in action, right? So I have a new phone. They have two cats. See how have just works perfectly? It doesn't matter if you're talking about yourself, talking to someone else, or talking about a whole group of people. It just fits. And now for the other side of the coin. When we're talking about just one other person or thing, like she, he, or it, the word just flips to has. She has beautiful eyes. It has sharp teeth. See that pattern? That little S at the end of has is kind of your clue that you're talking about a singular thing. Okay, so that covers the present. But what about when we're talking about the past? Well, I've got some really good news for you. The past is so much easier. You know how we had to switch between have and has? Well, in the past, all of that just goes away. And here is the best part. For the past, it is always had. I, you, he, she, we, they. It makes no difference. The word is always had. I had pizza. She had a headache. It's like your one-size-fits-all word for anything that's already over and done with. So simple, right? All right, you've totally got the basics down now, so let's level up a little bit. See, have, has, and had are more than just words about owning things. They're also super powerful helping verbs that team up with other verbs to create something called the perfect tenses. So first, we've got the present perfect. And the name itself gives you a clue, right? It connects the past to the present. We use it to talk about experiences we've had in our lives or things that happened in the past that still matter now. And the formula is easy. It's just have or has plus the main verb. And check this out. That first rule we learned, it still applies perfectly here. Have helps out I, you, we, and they. So, I have eaten sushi before. That's a life experience. And has is still the helper for he, she, and it. She has visited Paris. That past trip is still part of her life story today. Now, what about the past perfect? The absolute easiest way to think about this one is as the past of the past. Sounds a little strange, I know, but it's perfect for telling stories. You use it to show that one thing in the past happened before another thing in the past. And here, had is our go-to helping verb. This timeline makes it crystal clear. Just imagine you're telling a friend about your night. Two things happened in the past, the movie started, and you arrived. So which one happened first? The movie did. So you'd say, by the time we arrived, the movie had started. It just sets the sequence of events perfectly. Okay. Let's take a second to talk about one of the weirdest looking phrases in all of English grammar. It's one that makes a lot of people think they've definitely made a mistake, when really it's totally correct. So you might see a sentence that looks like this: I had enough. I know, it looks a little clunky, maybe even wrong. Your first instinct is probably to just delete one of those hads. But hold on, it is 100% grammatically correct. Okay, so here's the secret. Each had in that sentence is doing a totally different job. The first had is our helping verb, the one that's setting up the past perfect tense. The second had is actually the main verb of the sentence. Think of it just like I had seen or I had finished. In this case, the main verb just happens to also be had. A little weird, but it makes sense when you break it down.
Now that we've got all the rules laid out, let's put them to work by looking at the most common mistakes people tend to make. I mean, if you can learn to spot these and avoid them, your English is going to sound so much more natural.
Oh, yeah, this one is probably the number one most common mistake. You'll hear they has books. So, what's the problem? Well, they is for a group, it's plural, but has is for a single subject. It's just a classic mismatch between the subject and the verb. And the fix is so simple. We just go back to that very first rule we talked about. For they, it's always going to be have. They have books. That's it. Problem solved. And here's the other big one you hear a lot, especially with the perfect tenses. I have went to that cafe. The helping verb have is totally correct for I, but it's paired with went, and that's the simple past form, not the one we need. So to fix this, you just need to know your past participles. Remember, the formula is have or has plus the past participle. For the verb to go, that form is gone. So the correct sentence is, I have gone to that cafe. So let's wrap this all up. If you're going to remember anything from this, here are the key takeaways. Use has for he, she, and it in the present. Use have for I, you, we, and they in the present. Use had for everybody in the simple past. And remember, all three of them can also be helping verbs. That's pretty much the whole system in a nutshell. And there you have it. Now you've got the complete toolkit for have, has, and had. But knowing the rules is just step one. Actually using them is what builds real fluency. So my question for you is, where are you going to practice this stuff first? Maybe in an email you're writing or in your next conversation? Just give it a shot. Thanks for watching.